Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining in today's Design with Me session. I'm Brandon Oghenejobo, and I'm a senior product designer here at Rayna. I specialize in creating world-class interfaces and interactions that actually enhance your everyday living, the everyday living of the user. And I've also been privileged in working with various teams and various industries like startups and design agencies in Lagos, down to banks, educational institutes, even government services in the UAE. And I've been providing innovative solutions across sectors like edutech, insurtech, food tech, medtech, so on, to be honest. But currently at Rayner, we've been really working hard on version 2. But however, today we're going to be focused on version 1. And this session, I'll be demonstrating how to design an engaging, functional NFT marketplace, like a dashboard, right? With this library for sure, and then we can see how that feels like. But before I get started, just for our junior designers on board, junior designers on the call, hi, yeah, sorry, I was looking in the chat. Sorry, is my okay, there we go. Cool. So just for our junior designers on the board, what is a design system, and how can you actually get started using one? So a design system is a collection of reusable components, right? That are built and guided by clear standards, right? And you can easily assemble components from this design system to make whatever product you want, whatever application. And to be honest, why use a design system is because um, it's very important to use a design system because it makes your work consistent, literally, and it makes it easy for developers and designers to work quicker, faster, more efficiently, and it really, really drives consistency, right? So um, before we before I beat around the bush too much, let's just jump into it right away, um, and see what we're working with. So I'm going to share my screen.
All right, let's get started. I hope you guys are as excited as I am because I want to see how powerful Rayna is.
Okay, so can you guys see my share?
Yeah, I can.
All right, so I'm just going to go from the bare minimum of how to actually get started. So to find the Rayna UI, you just have to search for Rayna in our community, and you can find that there in the Figma community, and then you can open that in your Figma. I already have that opened up right here, so I'm just going to go through it. Oops. All right, so what do we have here? What does a design system comprise of? It comprises of a couple sections like the foundation, which literally has like color, typography, icons, spacings, and blurs. I'm not going to dive into each section so much, but you can see when you actually get your hands on these. On the right side here, we can see our styles and effects, grids. All of those are already preset here. Just in case you want to click right away, but if you want to see them actually, you can go into the individual pages. Then here we have some atoms. Atoms are things like avatars, badges, buttons, right? Those really tiny aspects of a design that when you bring together, you can then use to make things like an application component, right? Where you now look at things like a whole calendar or a chart or drop downs, for instance, right? You can then now see how these atoms are brought together to now eventually create these components. And then scrolling down here, some design systems go the extra mile, like Rayner, to actually provide you with templates, right? And what templates literally are, as they sound, is where we then put those components, we bring them together, and we actually make some products for you to see and visualize how they work in real time. So you can see here, they're already showing some logging states and how they can be used. So not to get distracted too much with this, I'm hoping this is a very good get started on how to jump into a DLS, in this case, Rayna specific. And then I'll be taking you to my process. So now that we fully understand what a design system is, we need to get familiar with it. And what that literally does, what that literally looks like is where you now actually dive into the specifics, like you go into the buttons and you really see what you're working with. We've got our destructive buttons. We've got our, by destructive, we mean negative, by the way, like error states. And then we've got our secondary buttons, our primary buttons. We've got buttons that look like, we call them links in some instances, but they're like text buttons. There we go. Right. And then, yeah. So I'm not going to go too deep again into this just because I have taken my own personal time to go through each asset here and I've seen what I'll be working with today. So I'm just going to jump right in. So what does my process look like? An ideal process for me with designing is I like to draw out a sitemap. And for our junior designers, what a sitemap is literally a user flow, right? And it just basically in a board or stretch, it shows you the start to finish flow for each product, right? So that's really what a user flow is. But there's not enough time to work on that. So what I've done here is just highlighted some key points that I don't want to forget while we're going to be working on this session. So this is my UX structure / features, where I just highlighted like some things I want to, again, make sure I don't forget, right? And right after my user flow, I like to move straight to sketching. So beforehand, I have also worked on a sketch. Or the official term for this is wireframe, right? So I've worked on a wireframe, kind of like just highlighting what exactly we're going to be designing. And I've highlighted my sections for my logos, my profile, and just how I'm going to be breaking things down. So now just to take a step back on this particular process, after an ideal process of getting your user flows done, you have a very clear user flow starting from the user logs in, they go through their recovery, they log in, if they don't have their password is not correct, they recover, then they eventually land on the dashboard, and then you branch out into the individual flows. Then you move into wireframing. But because I've done like a little UX structure, I already have like what and where I want to put things here on my wireframe. And then just to break this down, we have our side navigation, we have some tabs here, and yeah. So now let's get started. Let's start seeing some good stuff. I'm gonna drop in my frame. A standard frame is 440, 1440. And I'm gonna be using that to work. And right off the bat, we can already move to our assets panel right there, and we can search for whatever asset we want to start with. I'm gonna be starting with my navigation, just because it's a perfect place to start from. It kind of helps you already start feeling the entire dashboard. And that's how you pull assets from the side panel. When you move to the asset panel and you search, you can search for anything here. You can search for buttons. You can search for navigation, whatever. That's if you don't want to actually like go into the specific screens where we have those, right? I actually suggest, especially if you're new to a design system, you're new to Rayna, I suggest you actually go into the individual screens to have a look at exactly what you're working with before you get started. So yeah, we have a nice side navigation. Nice there. I'm gonna look at what we have on the properties panel. So we have a couple variations. Okay. Okay. So the difference in these two variations is that the logo and the profile are being swapped. Okay, cool. I want my logo at the top. I think I already highlighted that there here in my UX I want my logo at the top, and I would kick off with this. So in terms of style, we have preset colors and styles to choose from in the design system. So I'm going to be going with a dark shade for my background, just because I'm working on an NFT dashboard, and I kind of want to keep things edgy and modern, maybe, and crisp. There's just something about a dark background. It really gives a very nice feeling to our work. And then I'm going to switch here to the dark gray navigation. Okay, that looks good. I might want to use that gray for my background, but okay, let's see how that looks, and then we would see if we eventually want to revert to a pure black background. I want to create a little demarcation here between my actual dashboard items and this side navigation. So I'm going to add a stroke on that navigation. It's going to be right side, and I'm going to go with. So since we're sticking with this deep blue gray, let's stick with 900. See how that feels. 900 to well, that's 800. Okay, cool. I like 800. Right, a bit subtle, and you can see what's going on. Sorry, I think my PC froze. Okay, perfect. All right. So next thing on our wireframe here, we have our logo set. We have our navigations already listed out, thanks to Rayna. Let's see, what other customizations can we do? I don't want to search there because I want to do a primary search on the actual dash. And let's see what else is here. State. Okay, collapse, expand. Okay, so this to kind of like turn off sections, right? Okay, cool. From our wireframe, we have 3 sections. Let's see, can I actually have 3 sections? Okay, just 2 sections. Okay, cool. We're gonna find a way to work around it. Most likely, we're not gonna have this section anymore because it just has settings and invitations. Invitations is another word for referrals, right? Or we can just mask that in this lower section right here. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my actual dashboard frame, like my actual content frame here. I'm going to just move that a little bit so that we don't lose our width when we slap in an auto layout on this. Okay, so we slapped in an auto layout, 0 all the way, right? But then for this internal section where we're going to have our content, we're also going to slap another auto layout, and then we're going to stick with, I'm going to go with 32 top and bottom spacing. Let's see, do we have variants on here? Okay, we don't have variants on here. Okay, cool. So stay tuned, guys, for version 2 of this, because it's going to come with a lot of good stuff. Okay, cool. So now we're going to start off, and then we're going to start off with this section right here where we have Hi Lola, and we have like a little paragraph section here, and then we're going to have a navigation. So I'm going to just drop a text. I'm going to say Hi Lola, Hi Ola, my exclamation, and I'm going to look for an appropriate heading, an appropriate size that I'm going to be using for my heading all the way. 24 might be nice, might be too small. I am trying to go with large headers and moderate paragraphs, right? Just to give it a bit of hierarchy diminution, and then also to just kind of like help visibility with identifying the sections. So if I'm going to be doing that, then we might want to go a step higher in our font size here to 28, right? And then I'm going to slap that into another auto layout specific there. We're going to make this 4 pixels. We can test that, see how that feels. Nothing specific with the spacing, but we have, of course, have to be consistent. If we're going in twos, in evens, we keep that even number. If we're going in odd numbers, we keep those odd numbers. I already checked ahead of time, and as you can see, Rayna is using a lot of even numbers, so we're going to be consistent with that. So I'm going to duplicate this text, change my auto layout orientation to vertical, and I'm going to change this text to a paragraph. I'm just going to search here a paragraph. And we have a large. I don't want to use a large. I want something smaller. I could go with a small, but it might be too small. So let's try a medium, regular, and see how that feels, and type something like get let's just type something rough for now. So I'm gonna come in at the end of this session, not at the end of this session, but at the end of once I'm done making my entire design, I'm gonna officially come in and do like information architecture, where I actually start coming in here to type in my dashboard and all of that. But I don't want to focus too much on copy. So you know what? We're just gonna fill this in with the Lorem Ipsum for now. I'm gonna grab a plugin here, a Lorem Ipsum plugin. You can easily add that, by the way. I have them already pre-added, but if you click on this resource button right here, you can also search for plugins, components, and widgets. So going back here, I'm gonna just auto-generate something. 5 paragraphs is a bit too much. I'm just gonna stick with 2 or 3. All right, 2 seems fine, right? And then we want to wrap that into an auto layout, just the paragraph section itself. I'm gonna give it a spacing of 8, just because I don't want a lot of spacing there. And why I'm doing that is because I want to throw in a call to action there. So I'm gonna go to my asset panel, and I'm gonna search button / text, right? Because we saw that was the name earlier. Yeah. And I'm gonna pull in a text button. I don't want to do large for sure. I want that small. I'm gonna now paste that within this auto layout here. I'm gonna grab this, check my spacing is perfect, make sure it's aligned to center, right? And then something else I want to do is I want to turn on the icon, the tailing icon, and I want to make that like a direct arrow that kind of like opens up a new tab, right? I'm gonna call that get for now. Because this is going to be my section to kind of like, for the user to kind of like get some kind of discount or whatever, right? So that's for that section. And then this is a search. Below that, we're having a tab, right? And then we'll have our sections beneath it. Perfect. So now I'm going to pull in our search, go to assets again. I checked and we don't have a specific search field. We just have input field. And this input field, just like it's indicating here with a search icon, it can be used for various scenarios. For this scenario, we're going to be using it as a search bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the label. I'm also going to turn off the helper text, and the right icon is going to go off. So that looks good. Looks like a plain search already. Where do I want to place that? I'm going to place that right here. So I'm going to wrap this into another auto layout. The shortcut for auto layout is Shift A, and that's what I've been using all through. And then I'm gonna also set that to fill this entire section. Why am I doing that? You might ask. Is because when you make your designs, you want to make them responsive, right? Because ideally, if you're working on a web, platform, you would most likely be working on a mobile alternative, not alternative, with that, to go with that. So you want to keep things responsive already so that when you eventually like maybe squeeze or shrink things, they would all respond accordingly. So we're not done here. I'm going to make this fill. I'm going to make this also fill. And that's it. So now we have a responsive auto layout there. I'm going to slap in our search in here. All right. And you notice it went to the bottom. That's because our auto layout orientation is set to vertical. I'm going to set that to horizontal. I'm going to center align that. So we're already looking like what we have here. And now as far as styles go, we're going with like a dark style. So I want to change this color from white. I'm going to change that to 700 to 80. A bit too light. I'm going to make that 800 and then change the stroke to 700. Okay, that looks good. Again, we're going to come in at the end to put in, our information architecture, but I'm just going to drop in a search there just to help us remember what that is. And then I'm also going to drop the content on this paragraph a little bit, just because I want to have it like hanging over there. All right, so now we're going to move to the next section. Here we have our navigation, our tabs, sorry. And then we're going to just search for that tool, same way we've been doing. I'm going to search in my assets panel for tabs. And we have this very functional tab here. What are the functions we have? Of course, we have the different states. So hover state, active state, disabled state. And we have the style. So right now it's a line. So you can't really see it because of my background here. But if I drop this background, yeah, you can see that, right? So I'm gonna take that. We want to see how the pill looks like. That's the peel version. So right, the line wraps the entire thing. And it's also quite smaller too. But it's okay. I'll get into how to customize the spacings of this tab in a second. So now I'm going to wrap it up into an auto layout, right? And make sure there's no paddings. And also make sure my vertical gap is, okay, it's vertical now. We want it to be horizontal when we get it in there. But I'm going to make sure my horizontal gap is 0, and I'll show you why. So if I take this and I drop it in here, oops, what's going on? All right, so we need to set the overall orientation to horizontal to vertical here. And for spacing, I'm just going to go with 32 for now, 424, and then we can see how that feels as we go forward. Right, so now I'm going to paste our tab. It's looking good already. And we're going to make some changes to this tab. So we want to duplicate a couple just to see how it feels. Already, I don't like the spacing between, because keep in mind, this is a visual spacing, right? Between these two elements. But if you check this, my auto layout that I just created, it says 0 spacing, right? So if you want to tweak the spacings between the tabs, you're going to have to drill deep into the component. And if I click once, so if I click, now I have the component selected. If I double click once, then we have access to the spacings and gaps, right? So it's just set to 16 now. I want to change them all at once. So I'm gonna select on one tab, press Command A to select them all. I'm gonna press Enter once to drill down, and we can already see how we are editing the paddings and spacings for all of them at the same time. It's showing me mixed though. It should all be the same. I don't know why it's showing me mixed. So let's find out. This is 16, 16, 16, 15. Same here. Same here. Okay, so maybe it's a Figma thing why it's all showing mixed. Usually when it shows mixed, you want to be careful when you change the values because it might be different, right? For a reason. So you want to be sure. But right now we want them to be all be the same. So, and I just want to change the left and right padding or spacing. So I'm going to change that from 16 to 12. And we can already feel that come close. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So that's why it was showing mixed because we have a border here. So I'm just going to pull this up for you guys. So if you look here on my left panel, this is my layer panel. And here I have this auto layout selected. I'm going to rename this and call this tabs. Okay, we already have it renamed as tabs, and you can see the individual tabs within them. Now, if you open up a tab, how this is structured, we have the section above it, which is the content, and then we have the border, sorry, I can't speak, border, the border at the bottom. And if you notice, the way it was set, I'm just gonna reset this component to reset all the changes, and we can inspect that border again and see that, yeah, it's actually set to 0. So that's why it was showing mixed earlier because I had those borders selected as well. So what I just want to do now is first just revert everything back to what it used to be. And then I'm now going to go and just select the actual places that I want to change their spacing. I'm going to change that to 12. Looks close up and concise. Another thing I want to do is I want to already turn off my icons, right? Because if you notice in our sketch wireframe here, we don't have icons. We just have counters, right? So I'm going to keep counters for some of those. Let's see, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. Okay. So 1st and our 5th don't have counters. Okay. And then the rest of them do. 1, 2, 3, skip 1. Yeah. All right. So now that we have our navigation set, I'm going to try to move a little bit faster. The next thing is our actual cards right there. So now, again, I'm going to take this heading text we have here. I'm just going to paste that there. I'm going to go a step lower. Why am I going a step lower? Is because this is kind of like our main header, right? Which we're going to be using for like page titles, right? And then these are subheadings, right? We're going to be using for section titles. And those are usually a tad smaller, sometimes 2 steps smaller. I'm going to go 2 steps because that feels good. And then I'm going to just call this trending. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm going to wrap that into an auto layout itself, give it a spacing of 8. And then I'm going to just throw in a small text there. You need it to be smaller, actually. So we're going to use a paragraph small regular. That good enough? That looks good. I'm going to align that to the bottom. And I'm going to make this have a deeper color just to kind of show hierarchy, right? That's not so bad. So again, this is what I'm going to be using for my paragraph. What is that? Grade 400. So again, here we want to keep that grade 400, keep everything consistent and clean. That's good. So what are we using this text for? I'm going to be using this for like a counter for my actual column right there. I'm just going to say 120 items on this not column, row that I'm going to be making. And I'm going to start creating my cards. So let's see, do we have anything on cards? Okay, so we're gonna have to create our cards, but we're still gonna use Rayna's guidelines to create these cards. So if we go to grids and spacings, just to see what we have here, and I felt like I saw something about a card. Charts, breadcrumbs. Okay, cool. So we really don't have cards. That's fine. Gonna quickly create one. We're gonna have two frames. First frame is gonna be our NFT image. We're going to make that an image right away. And then the second frame, which is wrapping this one, is going to be our actual card. And I want to keep things a bit snug. So we're going to go with 4 pixels for now. Go with a border radius of 16. And then we're going to already slap that into our build here, right? Now, the card color itself, I want it to be 800. Might be too dark. We're going to see how that looks. Not bad, not bad. We need a border radius for this image. We went with 16 for the external. So usually half of that usually works perfectly. Or you just go like three-quarter of that. So which would be like 12. And that already feels nice. Our image goes in here. This is a bit too bright for our background. So for now, I'm just gonna make this a black color just so it's not affecting our eyes. Cool. So our image is going to be thrown in there. And then we want some more text here for our lower section. So how do I want to do this? Do I want to just make this auto layout have... Okay, so what I want to do is I want to break apart the image and the content, right? Just so I can control the padding separately. So here we're going to go with 8, not 4, because I realized 4 is a bit too small. And then for this, our initial one, for this, our initial card, we're going to be taking the style. How you copy styles is Option, Command C. And then I'm going to be pasting that on this internal one we're looking at here, just because this is what I want to be the top part of the card and the lower part of the card. I want to kind of break that apart. I'll show you why. So now for our initial wrap, we're going to remove those styles that we initially put. Oh. So for some reason, I can't see the style here. Okay, there it is. It's there now. 8 spacing. So now I'm going to remove the style we have here. I'm going to remove those paddings, right? So you can now see that the text is now kind of like separated from the image section. And I'm going to wrap this text section into its own auto layout. And I'm going to give it its own individual padding of, I don't know, 12. 12 works for now. And I'm going to make that fill on the width, and I'm going to make it hug on the height. And then for the holistic auto layout settings, I'm going to make this 0. Keep in mind, we're trying to still make it look like one card, but we are breaking them into sections just so we can control the paddings individually. I'm going to also take this, our gray here, 800 gray, and I'm going to give it its own... Okay, so I can keep the border on the holistic card and just make that clip content. And then for our cards in between, underneath or within it, I can give those 0 with the border radius. Why? Just so we can... I'll show you. If I make this fill now, just so we can, keep that border radius consistent and not have to put separate border radius for this lower part and another separate one for the top part. Like this, we can just have it as one. So we already have that illusion of one card, but of course we know it's two different sections. Sorry, top bottom parting here is 12. That looks good. So now for our text that we're going to have within this, this text is going to be, let's see how we have it here. So we're going with like a little small text for author name, and then we're going with like a more bolder text for like the name of the actual NFT. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna make a duplicate of this text. I'm gonna change the orientation to vertical. I'm gonna change this to 4 pixels spacing, right? And then for our sub, because it's like a subtext, but it's coming before, right? But we're using that for author, and I'll explain why it's going to be smaller than the title in a minute. I would be using a paragraph small, medium, not bad. And then for this, I'll be using a paragraph large, and I'll be using a medium as well. Not bad. And then one of course puts our color hierarchy in there. Remember our body text here, we're using gray 400. So we're just going to type 400 there. It's going to pull up all the 400s for me. There's our gray. And then our main text. So again, we're going to throw in some lorem ipsums here. For the author's name. And then for the actual title, we're going to call it, I don't know, Dark NFT. Okay. So other things I want to do here, based off the way we have it on our wireframe again, we have a verified tag just to kind of show authenticity, right? With each NFT being posted. Okay, we have a little subscript here for that. Okay, we're gonna throw that in. Ooh, on our top right side, we have filters and a bit of navigation to kind of like move through this row. So now that we have a premature card set up, let's finish up with that top section. So this is 120 items. Cool. I might want to make that smaller now that I look at that. So a good way to check for like to visually check your designs for how it feels and the actual hierarchy you're using, if it feels good, is to open up your designs in a prototype. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm also going to move that to its own Figma thing here. Why I like to do that is because when I and set it to maximize, it kind of takes away the Figma tabs, and the moment I press Command, what is that? Backslash, forward slash, backslash, Command backslash. I can take away the Figma UI and just have that feeling like an actual build, like we can see it in real time. So we can see that that text is actually fair. So I'm going to keep it as is, and then I'm going to wrap the entire thing into another auto layout, and then I'm going to make this one fill the entire section there. And now we want to throw in some things here. So what do we want? First thing is we want to use a text button to make a filter. I'm going to set this spacing to auto here, and I'm also going to set this to center align, right? We can already see how that feels. Okay. And I want to use this to create a filter. The reason why is because I'm using a very basic filter here, which is just a text and a drop down icon. And usually you could just make that, right? But why make it when Rayna has made it for you already, right? So we have a few content here for our filters. What is that? Filter by categories, by art, music. I'm just gonna say popularity for now. And I'm gonna make this a down chevron. A down chevron. Perfect. Do we have other sizes? Because there's usually a small chevron and a big one. Okay, so we just have a one size on this, so that's good. Gonna make that a capital P, and I'm gonna change that color to white. Change that color to white for now. Okay. Again, we're gonna leave that as a primary. So we're already looking good with that. And then now we need buttons for our navigation. I'm just gonna search. I don't think we have. I think it's just that one type of button that we can edit. Yeah. So I'm gonna take this one, this gray here, just because it already kind of looks secondary for us. You know what? Let's go to the list of buttons and actually see what we want to use. We could use a secondary button, which is like the outline stuff. Or we could use a field, which is like a tertiary button. I think for this particular one, I'm gonna be sticking with the outline. And we have multiple sizes to this too. So I'm gonna be sticking with the small, and I'm gonna copy that and run to where our designs is, and I'm just gonna paste that there. Right? What I wanted to do initially from here was to just kind of like make the changes from here and just show you guys how you can switch to the different types. Let's see what is actually selected here. Icon only. Okay, there we go. So when we go to okay, icon style, leading, none, tailing, icon only, right? So that's what we need, icon only, and then we're gonna be changing that to a chevron as well. We're gonna be doing left chevron and right chevron for back and forth. I'm gonna wrap this into an auto layout, Shift A. Make that spacing 24. And then we're gonna duplicate that. So it's going out the frame just because we've not set, okay, it is set to fill, and this is set to auto. Okay, so this is set to fixed. Cool. So we need to hug that. Cool. We see how that looks in prototype mode. That space is a bit too much. I'm gonna drop that space to 16. Ooh, ooh, 16. And I'm gonna wrap it again with this element right here, and then make this 24 just to give it some kind of differentiation. I'm gonna set this to hug, set this to hug as well, and then set the auto layout wrapping both of them to auto, just so it can push things left and right as we go, right? And we can already see that things are already feeling responsive, right? I can pull and push and things feel nice, right? That's good. So we have our top section here already created. I'm gonna move a little bit faster. And now we want to wrap these two elements together. So I'm gonna use a spacing of 16 for this because it is this section. And I'm also going to see if I want to kind of pull these closer. But let's keep going for now. So for our card, we're not done with that. This is our card. I remember we wanted to wrap this into an auto layout. we wanted to also throw in an icon. I'm gonna go to my assets panel. I'm gonna search verified. Okay, we have a verified tick, and we have an actual icon here. That's what we're gonna need. So I'm gonna drop my icon in there. 24 is too big, so we're gonna make that 20, and then we're gonna make that a bold, and we're gonna change the color right away. For verified icon is usually blue, but for this case, I'm gonna be going with green, just to give it a bit of spark or touch, or like just to set it aside from all the blues, right? I'm not quite sure if I'm still gonna change all of this blue gray to a dark. But before we do that, let's keep working on the structure of things. So now this particular card we've worked on, I'm gonna wrap that into an auto layout, and I'm gonna set my spacings already as 16, and I'm gonna see how it feels when I duplicate cards to see multiple. Feels good. Let's go back to our UX. So we have a little avatar here for the author, and then we have a button here that kind of holds the price and timeline. Timeline literally is just the bidding timeline, just to show like the last time someone bid on this NFT. So I'm gonna show you how that looks like here in a second. So I'm gonna delete this card just because we don't need that yet. So going back to this our initial card, we're gonna finish it up. We're gonna wrap these two things into an auto layout. The reason is we want to set this to fill. We don't want to wrap it into another auto layout. This is where the avatar is gonna hang, and then we want to set that spacing to auto. And then on the actual bottom section here, if I click out, I'm gonna now change the spacing for these from that 4 it was. I'm gonna change it to 16, just because that's where our button is gonna be sitting, right? So now let's look for an actual primary button or secondary, depending on what we need. For now, I'm gonna go with this. Ooh, so I just noticed that these are white. So yeah, we want to change those colors for sure. So if you check how they look in the actual component lineup, they are technically supposed to be outlined, right? Outlined buttons. But of course they have a white background, right? So we can either take that out or we can change the color. I suggest just taking it out. And then I want to change the colors of those icons and the direction of the other one too. So I'm going to make this gray 300, and then I'm going to change this one to point right. Perfect. That feels like a lot of arrows, but that's fine. That's how it's supposed to be. All right, and then we're going to finish up here with the card. I'm going to search here for avatar. Okay. Which of these is the main one? I'm guessing it's this one. Or not. Oh, so it's this one. What is this then? Okay. But we're going to be using this one for sure, because you can see that button there to go to main component. And it's right here on the file. So I'm going to pick that avatar. I'm going to slap it into this auto layout we already created. That seems weird. Ooh, that's because the orientation is set to vertical. I'm going to change that to horizontal. I'm going to center that. That avatar is a bit too small. We're going to change that size to large, too big, medium. Small seems good. Um, and then I kind of want to now slap in our button right away. Cool. This is set to fill, which it shouldn't be. It should be set to hug. And the entire card too should be set to hug. All right. Cool. And then this button should be set to fill, just to kind of like give that base good, stability. And then let's see, I want to change this to outline and see how that feels. Remove the stroke and change that color as well to the same gray 300. Okay, looks cool, simple and precise. I think we're done with creating our card. Okay, so the button itself is not an actual button. But let's see if we don't need to create this from scratch, right? Here we have a price at the corner and we have a timeline. Let's see if there's any button asset we can use for that. What are these button groups? Okay. Chips, empty states, input fields, tabs. Okay, cool. So we might have to just quickly make what we need here. But also for now, we can keep it just having a dollar sign, or whatever coin we're using to trade on this NFT. For now, I'm just going to keep it a dollar sign. And then we'll throw in a Bitcoin icon later on. Say that's $35 for that particular NFT. And then we're going to duplicate our cards. See how it feels. Feels good. But I want it to be fill. And I want 3 cards per column. Per row, I mean. So this is not fully responsive yet. I'm going to make those responsive by making those fill. And also the image section, make that also a fill. Cool. This feels good already. We're even almost done. What we just need is our last column here. That's going to be for wallets. And then our section here, that's going to be for your current NFTs that you're currently holding. So again, here, we're going to quickly make those cards, but it shouldn't be anything difficult. So I'm going to duplicate our section here, right? Now that I see both sections piling up on each other like that, okay, it looks fine in the prototype view, but I wanted to add some more spacing. Let's see. So if I make this 32, yeah, that feels too much. Okay, cool. So we have our cards. We have them looking nice with our verified icons. We have our avatars. And now we want to create this section here. This section is split into 2 columns. One of them kind of carrying, I kind of didn't know what to throw in there, or couldn't think of something to throw in there, but we could definitely pick something from our side navigation, like maybe messages. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up right away into an auto layout. And then we're going to make that auto layout have a spacing of 24 as well. Just to create that space in between. And then we're going to just duplicate what we have inside. I'm going to duplicate that, and then we're just going to keep 1 column, and we're going to set that to fixed. Most likely set that to have this same width, just so it feels very ordered. What is that size? 357. Okay. For this section here, if I go back to my wireframe, I just have a filter. I have a title, subtitle, and that's it. We don't have any actions there. So I'm going to take that, break this apart, remove the actions. Okay, so we want to keep our I'm gonna call this heading or subheading. You see on my layer panel there, I'm renaming this. I'm gonna call this subheading, right? And I'm gonna give them a fixed height, all of them, just so this doesn't happen where I take out the button and it kind of like breaks the layout structure. So I'm gonna give that a fixed height of 36. Cool. All right, that looks good. Now for this section here, we are doing a vertical listing. So I'm going to change that to vertical. And right off the bat, I'm going to leave our bottom half of that card. So let's break these. Or let's just pull out the state here and build it outside, okay? All right. So this is our card we're trying to build. Gonna undo, take that image section. Okay, 16 pixels. Give that a fill of 800. I'm gonna break what's inside. Gonna change this to a horizontal auto layout structure, and I'm gonna give the spacing 16, just because I've been using 16 spacings and it's been feeling nice. Whenever I need to go smaller, I use an 8. And then we're gonna slap our image in there. Just set that to a small. Sorry, it's all looking cramped. Let me already start fixing that for you guys. And also set a padding to this 12 top and bottom. I'm gonna set this to hug, and I'm gonna set all of this to. Okay, this is set to hug. Oh, that's a 2, not a 12. I was wondering. Okay, cool. So we have our little image section here. Those border radius there is a bit too much. I'm gonna make this 8. Gonna make this 6. I could have gone with 4, but remember, sometimes half the border radius is not always perfect, and you might need to go like 3/4. So that's that section, and then for this section, I'm just gonna invert this order. I'm gonna keep that auto layout just because we have a little action there. So I'm gonna use this button. This is our small text button. I'm gonna drop that in there. And then I'm going to create these other sections. So this is our section for, I'm gonna make this hug. Go inside, make that hug as well. Oh, okay, so we still have the avatar lingering around here. So I'm gonna make this hug now. Make that hug, make this hug. Cool. So this is for our first clump of text. I'm gonna make another duplicate, remove that button. Our second clump of text has just an icon and a percentage. So what I'm gonna use to replace this is a badge. So we have our badges. Do we have a badge here? Wait, we might not have a badge in this version. Oh, there we go. Badges. Okay. And I'm just gonna pull out a badge, preferably an outline one, most likely neutral. But wait, sorry, I just want to verify if that was actually neutral or disabled. Yeah, that's disabled. So we don't want disabled, we want neutral. And then we can change the color just to make it pop a bit, because we're not working with a light background, we're working with a dark background. I'm gonna make this 300, like our paragraph. Oh, that's 400. Okay, cool. Make this quickly 400. We don't know if it works yet. We're just dropping things and then we'll see how it feels. I'm gonna go a size higher for sure, a medium. I'm gonna turn on the tailing icon and I am gonna change that tailing icon to some kind of arrow, chart arrow pointing up. Um, so I'm gonna scroll on our section here for icons. You know what? Let me just search arrow and see if we have something similar. Okay, so we might need to go visually look. I'm gonna go to icons and we're gonna visually find what we're looking for. I kind of want an arrow that is like a step and is pointing up. Messages, nature, support, things, timeline. Okay. So arrows should be all the way at the top, right? Essentials. Oh, okay. Okay, so these are arrows, and apparently we don't have that, what we're gonna need. Okay, so we can work with this for now, to be honest. Or we could just have an we could just have it pointing directly up. So which I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna have it pointing directly up. And then this is gonna say something like 0.percentage. And those colors are definitely not working already, I can see, but we're getting there, right? For these texts, we definitely want to make those smaller, because if I go put this where it's supposed to be, and I'll show you in a second, this last column is for price, and it doesn't need a button there, so I'm going to break that and remove that button. So we have our little horizontal card, and I'm gonna place that in here. Gonna delete these other ones quickly. All right. Cool. I'm gonna make this fill, and I'm gonna make the content within it also fill, minus the image. Yes. Right. And then I'm gonna give it, of course, its specific spacing, and yeah. So that already looks good. Then we can duplicate it within it just to see how that list feels. And in this case, of course, we don't have a navigation through the card itself. We're going to delete that, right? So we have a couple miniature filters for each section. And yeah, so already we can already see how this is looking good in terms of the UI. Is looking straightforward. We perfectly aligned our sections. Now we just need to throw in some principles in there, some design principles. Like, so this is already our paragraph color. This is our main color. This is our paragraph or our card title, right? And then these are not card titles, so they can't be the same hierarchy. They will be a tad smaller. And these are just individual headers for this particular card, right? So you can already see it feels better now that it's small. Now that it's smaller. And then we can quickly work on our last column right there. So for our last column, we're gonna create our frame. Of course, slapping an auto layout on that, remove the fill, and I'm gonna paste that directly in here. So we can already see that because we have a responsive layout, things are already kind of like moving the way they should. But things are a bit too cramped here. I definitely want to go with a width of 300 here. Maybe bigger. Maybe bigger. Our navigation is what? 272. Okay, cool. I'm gonna make this fill. I'm gonna make this 350. That feels way better. And then for this section here, I'm gonna make this fill, make that fill, make the text fill, make that left align, and make this top align. Just push that action button to the top, and it already feels good. So the spacing in between these I don't like. So I want to push that some more. I want to make this a 32, just to give it a lot of breathing room right there. Yeah. And then for this, our column, we're gonna need a stroke, just like we did for the navigation there. We're gonna need a stroke here for gray 800, just to give a perfect demarcation between this. We can see our cards so scrambled. Let's see what we can do to fix that quickly. So let's see. So to be honest, we could take out this section because we don't really have much to throw in there, right? We have our wallet highlight here. We have our collections down here. We have a marketplace, which is this top section. We could throw in messages, but for an NFT dashboard, I don't think messaging is priority for this use case. So I think it's safe to remove that column, right? And now if I remove that column, I can now finally make this full width and have our cards looking fine either way, right? So that looks good. That looks good. Now we're going to quickly work on our wallet section. So now if you remember, for each page title, we're going to be using this text hierarchy, which is a bold page 4. So I'm going to be using that here as well, just because even though this is still on the same page, when it comes to side panels like this, they're usually an individual page of its own. If you've seen use cases like Slack, whenever you pull up some threads or a profile, it goes into that section, but you can also still pull up the same thread or the same profile in the main view, like right here in the center, right? So I'm going to be treating this section as an individual page of its own, and I'm going to be calling this my wallet, right? And then we're going to be having like a section below it. We're going to, again, grab one of our trusty text chunks here. We're going to paste that in there. We're going to make it a hug. And we're going to make the width of both of these to fill. And of course, keep that left align. And then what do we have up here? So we have our balance showing up. We have, what is this? This is a code to kind of copy the address of the wallet. And then this is kind of like a toggle to swap between card, graph, and candlestick or bar chart views for this wallet top up chart. So we're gonna be doing that, just that. I'm gonna be using a bigger size of font, but not. I'll try to not keep. I'll try to make sure it's not as big as this H6. What do we have here? H6 is 20 pixels. Yeah. So I'm gonna be going with our large paragraph for that because we're gonna be throwing in a number there. All right, semi-bold. Cool. We're going to be throwing a number. So I'm just going to say 0.00. And that's what's going to be like our wallet balance up there. Right. And okay. Yeah. So we want to show the wallet balance itself. And we also want to say a label saying your balance, right? And then we want to have that thing to copy the code. Cool. So I'm going to duplicate this, move one above it. Here we're using a small paragraph, which might be fine. Let's see what it looks like in prototype view. It's not fine. Even that number might go get a bit bigger. So I'm going to use the step above that, which is the H6 that I didn't want to use, but it might work for the number there. I'm going to set this to hug. Going to set my spacing to 8, just to give it a bit of breathing room. So that number is looking good. Here now is going to be a label or a caption. So we might want to use those. What is this? A12. Oh, this is a smaller paragraph. Okay, so I could use this. But we have to keep it medium. Okay, that's not too small. We're gonna call that your balance. Okay, we're gonna remove this text button, and we're gonna keep this icon. So I'm just gonna copy that icon, paste it back in there, and delete this. Just because if you notice in our wireframe, we have a copy icon right there. So I'm just gonna quickly search the icons list for copy, and we want to keep that primary for now. Yeah, why not? Keep that primary. So we're going to come back and again look at the color management and see if we want to tweak things, right? But for now, we're just trying to build quick and get the entire dashboard done. So this is going to be a random code, right? They're usually like a combination of letters and numbers. Wallet address looks good. Okay, and then we have our little toggle right there. So I could just use a traditional toggle, to be honest, instead of just throwing icons right there on the screen. So I'm going to search for toggle in our Rayna components. Do we have a toggle? We might not. So let's go to the actual pages and look. Avatar, badge, buttons, chips, compute tabs. So we could use a tab and wrap it up to create a toggle since we don't have one here. Right? Or we could use two buttons. That could work too. Use two buttons, wrap them up to create that. For instance, we could use this. This is our button. These are our only icon button, and we're gonna drop them here. We're gonna wrap this up into another auto layout. Make that horizontal. Set the spacing to about 12 in between. Make that fill. Drop our button in there. And then here we can truncate this because, to be honest, you're gonna copy that address. You're not gonna write it out for whoever you're sending it to. So we can make this truncate just like that. And then whenever the user clicks copy, they'll have the full thing. So we're gonna set this to bottom. Now we want to create a toggle, right? So this auto layout, we're gonna make this a fill, and we're gonna maybe make it 800 for now. Gonna give it a top left right padding of 2. I'm gonna give it a border or corner radius of 4, maybe more. To be honest, more. We're gonna make it 999, just so we can create a round looking toggle. For these, might take out the stroke and make the spacing in between also 2. Looks good. Looking good already. And then for the selector state, we can just change our button to a solid. Okay. Make this also a 999. All right. And yeah, looking good already, to be honest. But maybe I want to change this color to, what was it? What was the default color? It's a black. Is it a black? Let's check. Let's go back to our buttons. So it's not a black. It's a white. But for some reason, resetting it turned it black. So we're just going to keep it as white for now. And then, of course, change those icons. So for this one, we want to be going with chart. And we'll see what we have for, this is perfect. This is exactly what I sketched out in our wireframe, right? And then we want like a little bar chart one over there. So I'm going to say bar. This works, but let's see. Is there something else? Yeah, that's all. That's all cool. So speaking of icons, I kind of want to already start throwing in our navigation icons. So we have overview, marketplace, messages, minting, NFT, and then we have like collection, wallet stuff. So I'm just gonna start with that. So we have 4 options for our initial general section there. And then for our profile section here, we have, how many? How many was there? 3, 2, 3. Okay, we have 3. That's good. So here we have a dashboard. I'm going to change that to a, this looks cute. But the ideal stuff to use is grid. So the color changed as well. So we're going to make that white. For this next section here, is this marketplace. So we're going to go with the shopping cart. I saw a shopping cart earlier. What did I search? Chart? First one I saw a shop. Yeah, there we go. Mini cart. Yep. One with, what's this? Minimize. Okay. Minus chart. Okay. Cool. So we'll go with the regular one. Change that color again to white. Yeah. And then this is messages. We're gonna make this that. That looks good. And then for our last one is, what was it? Yeah, minting stuff. So we're gonna make the coin. Ooh, the perfect stuff is there. So Rayna has hooked you up with all the perfect icons. So you're probably gonna find everything you need here. So my collection, wallet, and watch list. We need a bookmark, a wallet, and a folder of some sort. So I'm gonna click on this and search file or folder. Actually, I should do folder. And to be honest, anyone works. A simple one works. For this next one, we have wallets and bookmarks. Okay, wallet, straightforward. Bookmark, bookmark, straightforward. Change those colors all together to white. Cool. And to be honest, things are already feeling nice, right? I like to have things scrolling individually. Um, so I can already mm, make our height. So that's the problem. The height is too big for my screen. That is, I'm gonna make that 900, and I'm gonna make this fill, right? And then we can already see how, yes, this is not scrolling anymore, right? Everything feels fixed and proper because now I'm using my actual screen uh, resolution. This spacing though, I want to increase that to 16 just to give it a bit of touch space for those. And now we need a nice looking chart. So let's go see what we have in our charts. I hope we have something looking good that we can just use right away. Okay. Okay. It might feel a bit too complex right off the bat when you're looking at it, but if you take a second to break them down visually, you'd see that we just have multiple like legends turned up for this. Let's see if we can drag out a state and turn off the lines. Yeah, we can. So you can, oops. Yeah, you can make it one quantity, two, three, right? And then you can change between a smooth line to a wavy line to a basic one. I'm gonna be going with a wavy one, and I'm gonna be going with two lines. Okay. Do we have two wavy? Yeah, we do. And we don't need legends? We don't need legends. We don't need legends. Because we kind of already had one, right? So we wanted two lines to show top up and um yeah. So let's just keep it one line. I'm trying to remember what was the UX behind this, why I made this two lines. I have a little note here. Just gonna quickly look at that. Super quick. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. So I was actually thinking of doing a comparison, right, where we would kind of be comparing two timelines, right? But I don't think that's necessary. We're just gonna drop in our chart here. I thought we took that chart. Where is it? Chart. Okay, chart. And we're gonna come here and paste it in here. I hope it's responsive enough. Hmm, let's see. Yeah, it seems responsive enough. So what happened that made it break? I don't know. Let's drop it in again. Let's see. What is our width here? 286. So it feels fine now. I don't know why it broke earlier. But yeah, that's a nice looking chart. Let's see how we can customize it to suit us. We have a little bit of legend slash timeline down there, and we're going to compare between 2 years, a year before and this one. And then we also don't have y-axis, just an x. Let's do that. Can we take out the y-axis in here? Okay, so I think we can. Can we multi-select? No, we cannot. So we're gonna have to go manual to drill down to these. Oops. I'm trying to select the 0. Okay, there we go. Cool. All right, so we have our just an x-axis, and then we might turn that off too, just because we want something different, right? But this looks good in terms of just using what we have to plot. I kind of wish this was stretching from the start here, but I think it's because I turned off stuff that I wasn't supposed to turn off. But it's okay. It's okay for now. So I'm going to wrap this up into an auto layout. And then I'm going to, let's see what we have here. So we have a button there. We have our x-axis looking like that. We have a breakdown of our wallet top up right below it. So yeah, we're going to use that button. I'm going to slap this. It's already in an auto layout. We're going to make that 24 spacing. We're going to drop our button right away. We're going to take this style of our card. We're going to put that in right away. We're going to make our curves 16, was it? Yes, border radius 16. And hopefully we can make this feel perfect. And then we can work on our own specific x-axis. For this button though, now that I think about it, I don't want to use a full-on button like this again. I think I just want to use a simple top-up. A simple top-up thing, very small. But we can make what's in our UX, our wireframe for now, and then see how that feels. I'm going to turn on a leading icon. It's already a plus sign. That's nice. Change that to 300. And then we want to kind of just break that into 3 sections. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to, so initially I plan to have a field, like an area, what we call it, area line chart, where this entire section is like filled with a color. But I don't think we have area here, right? We just have like line angles types. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm still gonna create the y-axis below it, but I'm going to how do I want to do it? So we're gonna again have 2 sections. So let's pick up one of these our trusty sections. We're gonna have two texts here. Okay. Move that to the side so we can see what we're doing. Maybe also drop our background just for now. So 2 texts. The top one, in fact, both of them are gonna have the same text size, but I'm going to, because the top one is gonna be pricing, I'm gonna make that white. Gonna make that white and gonna keep this regular text color. I'm gonna break this apart to remove our button. And here we're using the medium size paragraph. Here we're also using medium size paragraph. Cool. And then this is price, or this is amount, not necessarily price, right? This is the amount that was topped. And then this is from Jan to March. So again, we're gonna do this for all our for all our columns there. I'm gonna wrap this up, but within it, I'm gonna give it a stroke for just the right side. And then I'm gonna set this to hug. Set this to hug. That's cool. And set a padding. Oh, that's not an auto layout, is it? It should be. Yeah, it should be. Set our right padding to like 8, just so we can create some space in between that line. And now I'm gonna duplicate what's happening. So we need to turn on our layer panel. Okay, it's not an auto layout yet, it's still a group. So those are what we duplicated. I'm gonna make that a horizontal orientation, and then I'm gonna give it pretty much the same spacing I did for that inside section, just to keep it consistent for now, and then we'll see if we need something different when we swap it in our design. So that's our x-axis in a nutshell for our wallet balance. I'm gonna set that to fill. We're gonna wrap this up, set the spacing to 8, gonna make it more snug. Seems to be some kind of extra spacing here. Oh, because it's set to fixed. Let's see, can I set it to a hug? I can't. Interesting. Okay, can I, oops, let me pull this up so we can see. Can I turn off whatever is giving that space? So what's giving that space? This is already turned. Oh, it's not an auto layout, right? That just makes sense. It's not gonna snug. So we might have to leave it the way it is for now, and then just utilize that space. So what is that? A 9-ish, almost an 8. So the 8 I was gonna put here before, I'm gonna make that 0. Put that in, and then for these sections, I'm gonna make that fill, make this fill as well, and see. So this spacing has increased to an 18. Okay, you know what? Just to give everything a very nice order, I'm gonna remove this stroke that I put on those individual items. I'm gonna still set them to fill. I'm gonna divide my spacing, this 8 into 2, so make them 4. Then I'm gonna pull a divider component. There we go. I'm gonna pull a divider component. Oops, not this one, the other one. Cool. Now this divider component, I can only label different types. Oh, we don't need types, we just need a line. We're gonna change that orientation to, like, we're gonna turn it 90 degrees, and then we're gonna cut that and paste that within our frame and set it to fill. So why are we doing this? Because it's just going to order our entire section for us. We're gonna make this center. We're gonna also make this center. And then we're also gonna give it equal padding left and right, 8. In fact, we don't need paddings now. Now that we're making them fill, we don't need paddings. And then we're gonna take out that last line, demarcation, and then we're gonna use a darker color for this divider. Probably the one we've been using, which is the 700. I think that's what we use here. Ooh, that's an 800. Okay. Same here. 800. Okay. So we're gonna make this 800. But it kind of disappears. Oh, that's because our background card is already 800. So of course we're gonna go a step lighter. Yeah, so this is for amount, this is for timeline, this will be from April to like June, and then this should be from July to September. So let's say it's like a 3-month gap. Yeah, so an area chart would have really worked here. Rayna doesn't have that, but most likely in version 2 we'll get some area charts coming in. But this looks good already. I kind of want to change this UX. I want to put the balance within it, and then put the wallet balance above it. So let's try that. Let's put this here, right? And this is going to be showing like actual balance, like we have it. And then this bottom one is going to be showing like the coin, right? I'm showing the coin. That's not how I did the UX, but that's how I'm thinking about it now. So let's say Bitcoin, for instance. I'll be showing the coin. Of course, the Bitcoin icon is going to be on this side. Change that to a white or whatever that color was. It was a gray 400. And let's see if we have some coin icon we could just use for a placeholder. Okay, cool. I thought I saw one. Let's search Bitcoin. Let's see. Is there anything on that? No. Cool. Let's just use this for now. Okay. So this is going to be having the balance and the coin itself. You could also throw in like a one of these. So I didn't finish making these actually. I wanted to change this to a direct up arrow or versus down, just to show rise and fall. Down arrow. Where are we? Down arrow. There we are. And then we could change that to green versus red, to kind of show um, those visual cues. We're going to be sticking with the same variation. 400, 400. Okay. Kind of want to pull these closer. I know that's how the component was made. Because we're kind of using them like a badge, kind of. I want to pull these closer to like, make them like 4 pixels. Ooh, that didn't work. 4 pixels. There we go. All right. And then of course they're gonna be like just value, rise and fall. How do we do the UX? Percentage rise and fall is there. Oh, so we don't necessarily need that there. Cool. Okay. So we can use these badges for rise and fall already. So I'm going to change this from a neutral to success. Change this one from a neutral to error. Okay. We're going to reset this color. Or just color it. 700 there. 700 here. All right. And we're going to take out that rise from there because we don't need it. These colors are a bit too dark, so we're going to make those the 400 I wanted to go with. That's good. Finishing up here, gonna make this hug. Gonna make that hug as well. I wish I could reduce the height of this chart without actually reducing the gap in between. But we're gonna have to work with that for now. This is a toggle to kind of change between those. This is the coin. We're gonna remove our balance from here. So it's just gonna say your balance and the coin and your wallet, your address. This is gonna say address. Okay. Then this is gonna say balance. Okay. And yeah, looking good. So for the address itself, maybe we can bump up that color to that. All right, we're almost done. All we just need now is our breakdown section where we kind of like break down all the transactions that happened in the wallet. And I'm just going to drop in one of our sections here to use that. Take away the filter here that we kind of created. Make this not auto, so it sticks to the left side. And then for regular transaction cards, they're pretty straightforward. We're gonna need like an avatar type thing here. Just gonna make it 50-50. And it's gonna be fully rounded, maybe. Eh, Our border radius. So we want to keep radiuses consistent, right? Here we were using a 16. Now I want to drop it down to a 12. Just because the actual Rayna guidelines is not using a lot of border radiuses actually. So maybe we want to make this an 8 and then make these internal cards or images a 6. Okay, cool. Then we're gonna also keep these 8, keep this 8, keep this 8. Cool. And then we're gonna keep that 8 and keep things edgy. Then maybe we don't have to have a circle for our little thing here. And then we can delete whatever is here. Okay, so already looking like a transaction card. What else is missing? The timeline and some kind of rise and fall to show increase in balance or decrease in balance. We're going to use the same components we've been using here. In fact, I'm just going to grab this column and I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, I'm going to make that right aligned instead. We do need a little more breathing room. Kind of want to increase the width of this section to 400. Nah, I think it's fine the way it is. I just need to maybe give us a better or a smaller padding. This is 24. Yeah, so let's go with 24 here for that left and right padding. Just to kind of keep things a bit more snug and also give us a bit more space to work with here. Here now, we are just having an arrow. You could also just show. Let's see. Okay, let's see what we broke this down as. So we did break this down as coin that you're actually topping up, coin name, amount, right? Time, and this, to be honest, is just to show increase or decrease. It would have looked better if we actually had this icon, but we don't. So we might keep this for now. For timing, I want to use, where's that, our small text? We have this small text somewhere. This is a smaller paragraph, 14. Okay, we have this here, which is a super small, extra small, 12. I'm going to stick with this. So I just copied this style here, which is our small paragraph regular, right? And I'm going to make that timeline. So say something like one. So I've started working on the information architecture, by the way, by doing this, because we're getting to the end of this session. So I might as well just be throwing in what we're missing, right? 1 hour ago, change this to a value. We're just gonna say 0 point blah 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 was deposited, and it was a Bitcoin to your wallet. And so we're gonna need avatars for those. Let's see what we have for logos. I think I saw something like empty states, icon, tab, activities, alerts, breadcrumbs. Two tips, forms, footers. Okay, I thought I saw something for. Okay, so we might just use the avatar, and then see if there's multiple ways to customize it. Okay, so you could just do text, and is this an icon? Yep, it's an icon, and it's from our icon list. Perfect, perfect. So we can probably use that, this variation here that says icon status as none, and we can put in an actual icon there, for that. So this build actually is weird. Okay, first let's just drop in the avatar right away. Okay, and I'm gonna make that a bigger size, maybe a medium. Okay, cool. Gonna delete that, make this center. Okay, gonna make this not an image, not initials, icon. Okay, and then we're gonna see if we can swap that icon for like one. Okay, so this is not the official Bitcoin icon, but just a placeholder for now. And then what I wanted to do was wrap these two, or better yet, wrap these two, make them 12 or 8 spacing. I'm gonna go with 12, right? So that we can then have things like perfect. Yeah. So this is kind of like a wallet card. Those spaces are too close to each other, by the way. So we're gonna make this an 8. How does this look more? So because of the text style, this. Yeah, cool. Cool. So we're going to start working on the information architecture. This is breakdown or wallet breakdown. This is breakdown. Okay. And we don't have items on the breakdown. Remove that. And this top section is wallet. You have your address, your wallet. Let's keep the same terminology, same tone of voice. Your address, your balance, my wallet. Okay. And then we're gonna start filling that navigation. So this is definitely market. This is messages. This is dashboard. That is minting NFT. This is my collection, and that is my wallet, and this is bookmarks. Okay, so let's see how we have them here. Okay, so we're calling it watch list. I think that's a better term because they are watch lists. And then we don't have any notification indicators on. And then settings and invites, we're gonna call those other here. And then we're gonna call this, I'm gonna do invite first this time before settings. Just to give it that order, because technically settings is usually the last thing, right? So I'm just gonna keep that way. So for invites, let's see if there's an icon for refer. No, there's not. Is there an icon for invite? There's not. I'm gonna say share. All right. Share works. But maybe the other one actually. Maybe the other one. Maybe the other one. Can I change the direction? Okay, cool. That works for now. We're just gonna keep moving. Need to move faster anyways. Settings. Um, that is not a gear. That is not a gear. Is that? Okay, cool. Let's see if we have another one. Okay, it looks too cute for a gear. I usually like my gear more like edgy. But this works definitely for sure. It's what's available to us. And then we're gonna turn off all those counters. Gonna turn them off. Turn them all off. Let's do first row off. All right, so look at that. We're already looking very good, to be honest. We have our navigation done. Information architecture is on the way. Just gonna check a little note I have here. And then we're gonna work for these tabs. Did I name them here? No, I did not. So we're just gonna call this something like activity created. Just stuff that you've done for yourself. I'm gonna call this I'm gonna call this collections. Just so you can filter by collections, you can filter by author or what's on auction. You can drill down by okay, let's keep these for now. I'm sure something will come to me before we finish this session. And then I'm just gonna add some numbers here, make this active state. And then for the inactive states, because we're working with a dark background, these are being swallowed. So I'm going to bump that up to um, the 400 we were using, and maybe keep these. To be honest, maybe we can style this differently. Let's see. Outline, okay. Outline, build, accent. Okay, so that seemed to be on backwards. Why are they on backwards? Um, this is what I mean. So right now we're on accent, but it feels filled, and then on field it looks like it's outlined, or yeah, feels like an accent. Let's see. Okay. So it's because we're switching the colors again. So that's why it's dark. Let's see what the accent looks like again. Okay, so it's a light variation. So if this was a light background, as we can see, then this would clearly be like an accent, right? So we're gonna invert those. We're gonna go with field for those, and then we're gonna change the field state to either our 800 or our 700. I think our 800 might be nicer. Actually, no, the 700 looks good. Looks very good. Okay, so we're gonna change again to these, change all of these to the field state and make those 700, right? I'm gonna make this get 1 month free access, free trial, free trial, free trial. Get 1 month free trial, and then they can go ahead and get that by clicking on that. Um, what else are we missing? We have our trending NFTs, trending NFTs, 200 and something items. We can move filter by popularity. Um, we have a couple names we could throw in here. So again, this was the NFT name itself, Dark NFT. I'm gonna call this Apple NFT, and then we're gonna call this Microsoft. Okay, so those are the names, and these will be the authors. We're gonna call this Michael, Mike, Michael, Mike, Greg. Um, Greg is a double G, maybe. We're gonna call this Brandon, Brandon Steve, and then we're gonna call this Steve is a one E, perfect. And then we're gonna call this John, John Doe. Okay, and we're gonna assume they're all verified, maybe except Brandon. Brandon is not verified yet. And then we can definitely change those avatars to something. Okay, so we can find some random image. I'm gonna take my time to look for that on Google. And then what else is missing? Yeah, so we need NFT images. We need images for our avatars. We can put some variations on this pricing, 150 bucks. So yeah, we're doing coins, right? So again, we wanna keep um our icon, leading icon. We want to change that icon to whatever coin this is going to be. So for now, we're gonna use our regular coin placeholder that we've been using. Okay. Gonna change that color to that. Okay. So let's assume this is like Bitcoin, this is ETH, this is, whatever those are. And then they're going to be like, of course, 0 point whatever for pricing, right? Okay, so that gives some variation in the data. We're going to, I don't think we're done here yet. We're going to come back to that. So this is not our trending section. This is actually my collection. This was supposed to be colored. Okay. Yeah. This will be my collection because it's showing like your current holdings, NFT holdings. We could call it my listing. We could call it yeah. Let's say my listing. Let's say my listing. Or my collection is fine. We're keeping the same terminology. We'll keep it. My collection, and say you have just 20 items for your collection. You can filter by what are those filters we highlighted here. In your collections, you can filter by art, music, probably the other filters as well. But for now, I'm just going to put that as art. Okay. And now I feel like I want to just drop that color just a tad bit. So we're not going to be using pure white. We're going to be using that 300, or where is it? Or 100. Yeah, we're going to be using gray 100. I think we're also using gray 100 for some of these buttons. Yes, gray 100. Okay. So this could be gray 100. Yeah. And it just gives everything a bit more wiggle room in terms of color balance. Um, um, what else? What else can we pull in terms of information architecture? I think we had 2 tabs we closed here. Just gonna open them back up. Call one of them notes and call one of them history. Okay. Let's remove. Let's remove this one. We wanted to change this colors, so we're gonna do that. So activity created, collection, auctions. I think that's all for now. That's all for now. Can't think of anything else to throw in there. For our price, we already have what our prices look like here, which is technically the coin plus the amount right there, right? We're gonna make sure we're keeping the same. Okay, we're not. This is a paragraph 16, paragraph medium. This is a small. Yeah, I think I want to use that all the way actually. This small, I want to use that here, want to use that here, want to use that here, all the way. And then I also want to increase spacing to 6 or 8. 6 works. I'm gonna remove this price here. And then what are we gonna have there? Ooh, sorry. One of this is a label actually. So the label actually says price. and the price is right there beneath it. And then this will also be a label here. And this is going to say something like 24-hour change. And then our last one here is going to be like the NFT name itself, which is like Apple NFT, Dark NFT. Then what else do we want to have? This is going to be author, and if they are verified or not. I think we're keeping the same hierarchy there anyways. Perfect. And then, so you are the author in this instance because, but not technically. Not technically, yeah. Because you could have purchased the NFT from another person. So again, we're still going to keep author name there. And then NFT images. So let's now run to Google real quick. And look for some images that are actually free to use. How do you do that? Not advanced search, sorry. Yes, usage rights. We changed that to commercial. It's fine. And then we're just gonna say NFTs, and we're gonna just pick some nice quality stuff to kind of populate our design with. Okay. So I'm gonna just put those same specs in there, 6 border radius, so that once I copy the style and put it in there, it just works. Again, I'll explain what I did. So I take a random NFT. Which one looks nice again? This looks nice. Copy that, copy image, paste it on Figma. And then the first thing I do is to actually put the style of where I want to put it into. So the only style we have here is a border radius of 6. So that's exactly what I did. I put the border radius first, then I copied it with our Alt. If you're using Windows, if you're using Mac, that's Option, Command. If you're using Mac again, if you're using Windows, it's Alt, Control, C to copy the style, and then Alt, Control, V to paste that in. And then you can already paste that in. So that's just how I like to do it. Instead of downloading the image and then coming here to drag and drop it, I can just copy it directly from Google. Ooh, that's a cool one. Copy image. I'm actually gonna use this one for the dark NFT instead, just because it does fit the theme. I'm gonna make this 6, copy that, and I'm gonna paste, make a duplicate of that so I don't lose it, and I'm gonna paste the style in there, and this also paste the style in there. Cool. And then in terms of our sections below it, of course, again, we can use the same style. Same here. This is an 8. Why is this an 8? It should be a 6, actually. Okay. Use that for the dark, use this for the apple. And then we can also make a third one just to populate that list. And then, of course, put the individual authors in there. And yeah, I feel like we're basically there. So for this section, again, it's just a bit tricky because of the chart itself. It doesn't feel too flexible in terms of what I can do with it, but this works definitely. We can also even just put these like that and change the orientation to horizontal and fill this and set this to auto. The reason why is just so Set this to hug. Ooh, there's another one. Okay, I'm gonna unwrap that one. Ooh, okay, okay. So that's what's holding this. And okay, okay. This should be set to hug. Okay. I just did that to just kind of like reduce the height because it was like this before, right? So just to reduce the height of that card was why I brought that to the side. Also, one thing I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this into a frame and manually reduce this top and bottom. Oops. Wrap this in a frame and manually reduce this top and bottom just because I don't want that space. It doesn't work for me. What is the space in between these? 28. So I'm just gonna try to make sure that we have a 28 here. So just gonna say +8, +8, and then I'm gonna make sure that our item is moved down until it starts to disappear within the frame. So now that we have kind of like re-giving this its a specific height and width and whatever with no padding, can now comfortably add our padding spacing here between as 8. Right, so that feels way better. Maybe also what we can do is, okay, looks fine to me. Looks fine to me. I want to reduce the size of these fonts to this one right here, and I'll also increase these to this. Okay, so now that we have those there, yeah, I think this already looks good and we're pretty much done. I'm just gonna populate this section here, change some of the states to like a negative state, and change the direction of the arrow to be pointing down. To down, and of course the color as well. Why is that orange? Okay, so maybe I changed it to the wrong variant. Yeah, I wanted error. There we go. But then we're using 400, so I'm gonna change it 700 to 400 as well. The arrow is facing down, and yeah, those are different variations to these. And we could just change some of these text to Ethereum. Ethereum, style, spell it, and Bitcoin. It's good. It's good. All right. So that's it, guys. And that's how you design a dashboard using Rayna UI. I think we got everything from our sketch here. Ah, okay. This filter was a weekly filter. Was a timeline filter. And that's it, guys.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's put our hands together for our guest designer today. This has been so, so amazing. I mean, look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. Just from a very blank canvas. And now we have an NFT dashboard where you can see NFTs. You can also like track your wallets. You can see statistics and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much. All this is possible with Rayna UI. All this is possible with Rayna UI. So thank you all for your time. Those of us that were able to stay from the beginning.